Hello and welcome to your Wednesday dose of wealth wisdom with me, Daniel Kennedy. Go on, go for it.
Me, Liam Pearce.
Same detail, guys. I'm just going to share this video to a few places so it gets maximum eyes. We've got a really great subject for you today. And you can see the budding mustache is soon to make a return. So I know a lot of you were wanting to see it back and your prayers have been answered. Right. That's that one done. Page. Oh, we've already got one person watching. That'll be Path probably.
Well, hey.
Oh no, it's Charles. Hello, Charles. Thanks for joining us again. And then finally, I'm going to put it in the Birmingham group. Right, so that's just shared to everywhere.
Nice.
So then I start the recording here, and then this is what goes out onto the podcast.
Nice.
So, hello everybody, and welcome to your Wednesday dose of wealth wisdom with me, Daniel Kennedy. And today I've got a very special guest for you, and he's going to tell you a bit about himself now.
Yeah, so I'm Liam Pearce. I'm 23 years old, and I'm from Birmingham. I've just set up my own property sourcing company. Property's always been a passion for me. My background previously was in sales and recruitment, so there's a lot of transferable skills, but I'm looking to pursue my passion now in and around Birmingham.
So why I got Liam on the show was because he's got a story of pretty recently as a year ago, he wasn't interested in property or entrepreneurship in any way, shape or form, didn't really particularly want to do any better than he was doing, very happy, very comfortable. Living a bit of a reckless lifestyle, would you say?
Massively, yeah.
And he decided one day that this wasn't for him and he wanted to have a better journey, a better outcome in life. And the transition of that is what we're going to talk about today and some of the struggles that may occur. So even if you're in a pretty desperate situation and you're not really feeling there's any light at the end of the tunnel, and regardless of if it's property in any industry or any lane that you decide to jump into, we're going to talk about Liam's journey, and hopefully that will inspire you to potentially make some positive changes. So do you want to go back to the start and
back to
about where you started and why you were unhappy with where your life was going?
Yeah, so it's been a time of a 6-year period from the age of 16 where things sort of started to spiral out of control. When I was about 16 years old, I had to come down with post-chronic fatigue, which is ME. I don't know if you guys have heard it. Your whole body goes into shutdown, you're really ill, and you can't really do anything. You're fatigued all the time, you're tired, and you're in bed constantly. And every day is a battle. A lot of people end up getting very depressed. But that was my awakening. I found out that it was a lifestyle choice. How I lived before and the stress of just everything in my life.
How were you living before to cause this?
How was I living before? I was reckless. I was an absolute degenerate. All I cared about was myself. I used to drink 7 days a week at least. On my lunch breaks at work, I didn't care. I'd be drinking a bottle of wine. I'd be going out in the night time. All I cared about was drinking, having fun, and going after women. And that's all I cared at that moment in time. And I was earning decent money in recruitment. I was bidding. I was one of the promising candidates in the business, but that wasn't on my mind. I just wanted to live this playboy lifestyle and have fun. And it eventually catches up with you.
What the hell is wrong with that? That sounds like an amazing life.
It was good for
yeah, but you can only sustain that for so long, as I'm sure most people are aware.
Yeah.
And what decided, because this is the interesting thing about Liam. He went from being bordering on a complete alcoholic to going teetotal, completely changing his life around, being a really diligent person. Within our accountability group, Liam's the one who meets his goals the most. and he's gone from being a complete sort of ill-disciplined person to being the most disciplined person that I know, really. And what caused you to have that sudden shift? Was it a gradual thing, or was it slow?
I just, because I accepted previously that I was probably not going to live till 30, and I was accepting that I was going to die, and I've come down with this illness, and I believe I've been given a second chance. This is my time to get my body back to normal. This is time to rest. This is my time to regroup and get my mentality where it once wanted to be. When I was younger, I aspired to be like James Bond. I liked the suits. I wanted to be successful. I wanted to have everything I needed, but that got sort of sidetracked by having a life of being a degenerate. I watched The Wolf of Wall Street, and I thought, that's the life I want to live. And it looks fancy, and it's good for a bit, but it all catches up with you. And it was just the moment I'm going to change, and this is the moment I'm going to make the difference.
So, did you build it up slowly, or was it just literally instantly, and then everything fell into place?
I genuinely, I was low for a while. I felt pretty numb about life as a whole, and it was tiring. Every day was like a week, and then I woke up one morning, and I was like, what's happened? Something's changed. I feel like I'm gradually building myself back to how I used to be as a person, and it was great. And then I started meditating. I started reading again. I started thinking I could make something of my life, and that was the moment. It was great.
Nice. So, did you have the discipline from the beginning when you decided to change, or were there constant failures and it just got better over time?
So yeah, about 2 years ago, it's around this sort of time, I firstly decided to stop drinking.
You've been sober a year now.
Yeah, I've been sober fully 1 year.
Yeah.
But
congratulations, man.
Yeah, it's a triumph in my eyes. My family can't believe it. My mum thought she was going to be burying her son before he was 30, and it's a massive difference. But I was working in recruitment, and I left that job because my whole life became a whirlwind. I was sleeping on the bathroom floor at work because I was having 2 hours sleep a night, so just partying constantly. And then I quit. I was on sertraline at the time, which is an antidepressant. And I made a stupid decision in the rash mindset I was in to stop taking sertraline and to stop drinking. And I was cold turkey on both things at once. My whole arms used to shake constantly. I was constantly paranoid about everything. It was just at the time of the Ariana Grande bombings, there's police officers with guns all around town. I was like panic attacks and stuff. My head totally lost my head. And I started to drink a bit more again, and it wasn't as excessive as before. But I started a new role, so I recovered from that. Before I was on the track, and I leaned back again. And then I started another role. I was really unhappy. I was working at a company called Reed Recruitment, and it was massively KPI driven, on your back constantly. I was like, oh, I'm so miserable still. And then the drinking started to spiral out of control again. I was drinking on my lunch breaks. I was drinking after work, and I was like, oh, shit, I fell into that trap again. And then 2 days after, when it was starting to spiral even more, I became really ill. And I believe if I wasn't ill, I wouldn't have been able to make that change. Becoming ill was a blessing in disguise. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
I'm glad you see it that way. So the subject of the podcast is why destroying your ego is an essential part of becoming successful. And most people wouldn't be as so open and like bearing their soul as much as Liam here is right now. And anyone who achieves success in some measure has to fully put themselves out there, whether that be, and how I'm going to translate it from something like sharing something like that, to then going and knocking on someone's door and going up to a complete stranger and facing rejection. Because rightly so, you said you've struggled with coming on videos and doing live.
Yeah.
Why do you think you've struggled?
I think
because you're able to come on live and share this, but then doing lives yourself, you feel like you haven't got anything of value to say. Which is a lie. I think you've got plenty of value.
I think definitely. I think the big issue was in my group of friends, I've got a lot of people who I went to school with, got a lot of people who know me, and I think that there's the little monkey on your shoulder tells you that these people are going to be laughing at you, and essentially they do the opposite. I've had many people message me since doing my videos saying, "Bloody hell, you're a property guru now," and stuff like that. No, I'm not. I'm just doing some videos saying what I'm doing, and they think you're doing really well, and it attracts the opposite. People want to meet you and want to get to know you again, which is good and bad. It's good and bad because
it is very good. It's I'm always in favor of getting yourself out there and telling the world what you're doing.
Yeah.
But speaking from my experience, I've had mostly negative people like through my circle, like people taking the mick. When if I was to have an ego and get really, really upset over that, I'd be wasting time and wasting energy on stuff that isn't productive. So in reality, you're probably going to get quite a few people who are going to waste your time, going to say that you're a bad product or you're giving a bad service or whatever the fact may be. But having an ego and having this image of yourself that you want to portray to the world is a really, really bad thing.
Yeah.
If you see yourself above even the most basics of tasks, so what other people think of you shouldn't be any of your business. Like, why would you care? The people who matter are going to find you. They're going to find you. They're going to want to do business with you. And saying that you don't know something or saying you can't do that it's perfectly fine. Everyone knows that being part of a business is a learning process. It's not one day you were just suddenly successful. Every success was a nightmare at one point. I've listened to Joe Rogan, and a really great sentence he said, that old wizard man who's really wise, he was once a baby at some point, couldn't even wipe his own arse. And everyone has to go through the journey. No one's perfect. And that's why getting yourself out there, not having an ego, facing rejection, especially as so Liam having drink and having that lifestyle, that would have been very much a crutch for him in terms of his confidence. And now that he doesn't have that, he's having to face up to the stark reality that people are going to judge just him as a person, and he can't blame the alcohol, he can't blame whatever if it goes wrong. And it's very, very terrifying for somebody to go out, put themselves out there and be rejected. And the only way you can sort of numb yourself to this is constantly go out and just get rejected for everything over and over again, destroy your ego. And then when going to knock on a seller's door and perhaps the house is worth £200,000 and you're going to say, I want to pay £100,000 for it. Most people cringe up because they don't know how to bargain. They're really, really a student of mine described it as suddenly her teeth began to grow hair, and that's how she felt when she was trying to negotiate a deal. And you have to be really have the real inner core belief that what you're providing is a service. You're doing them a favor. You're able to solve their problem, get rid of that property. In some cases you won't be able to, and you'll have to say, no, we can't do a deal. That's fine. That's very normal. But in most cases, you'll be able to help them. And asking for huge 50% discounts, 60% discounts, you need to be okay with this. And the vast majority of times, people are going to be completely hostile to it, completely hostile to any type of deal that you structure. And you just have to have no ego and realize it's just their collection of experiences. You're a collection of experiences. If you'd experienced what the seller had experienced, you would be doing the exact same and saying the exact same. So what you can do is maybe change the experience for them. You're not going to change a person through a couple of meetings, but you might be able to change the negotiation process and make it less painless for them, and then hopefully come out with a deal at the end of it. And things to destroy your ego is not care what other people think. What other people think of you is none of your business. You're on your path, and life's going to just throw stuff at you to hit you left, hit you right, so you fall off the train track. But the key is to get back on them and chunder on. Because what are your goals for this week?
Well, my goals,
because it's to do with videos, isn't it?
Yeah. So I started doing videos, and I started chickening out again.
You built a bit of a momentum, and there's another person who's watching this, and he knows who he is. He said he couldn't do a video because he hadn't had his hair cut, and it's just so stupid and ridiculous. No one cares what you look like. It cares what the value. You need to get out there. You need to put yourself out there. In a year's time, no one's going to remember this video. But slowly, as you build up this sort of persona and position yourself as an expert, and you're giving value, then potentially at the back end of the relationship, you can sell the person a product or sell the person a service, or maybe do business together and they bring deals to you. So the whole entire purpose of me doing this podcast and this page and giving out loads of free info and just talking about my days to position myself as somebody to go to if you need to sell deals. And I've got a few property deals from this, as well as plenty of finance being raised from it. So I can't talk about the merits of not having an ego, not worrying about what other people think. And if you look back on the videos, there's quite a lot of people that just take the piss. And that's fine. When you put yourself out there, you're going to have to be prepared to take that. Because if you weren't, there's no point in being a business, because more people are going to dislike you than like you, I think, when you're involved in property. People are going to assume you're really greedy, you're money grabbing, and there's quite a lot of hostility to people owning property and renting it out. Tenants are going to treat, most tenants will speak to you in a derogatory manner as well. And if you had an ego and you took everything to heart, you wouldn't last 5 minutes. Like you just wouldn't. The things that people say, the way that people speak to you, you just have to accept it and realize that you're there to provide a service. Are they paying rent? Fantastic. Does really them being impolite to you affect your bottom line? Not really, no. So you just accept it and look at the bigger picture of running a business and making sure everything's repaired and dealing with the problems that come along. And putting yourself out there is big. You're not going to, you ain't going to raise money. You ain't going to find deals. You ain't going to do deals unless you get attention. If you get attention, you have to bare your soul. You have to put yourself out there, say, this is what I offer. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. In any industry, being a success, attention is so important, because if people don't know about you, how can they buy your product or service? How can they sell you that deal? How can they come to you when they want to have a deal sourced? It's really, really a key aspect and cornerstone of every industry, I feel. So going back to your story, what's the scariest thing about now putting yourself out there?
What's the scariest thing?
Why do you think it's so hard? Because now you're a sourcer, right? Liam's decided to become a sourcer. He's got an established business and he sources properties within Birmingham. One of the key things he needs to do is get attention, come on stuff like this, really broadcast himself out there so he can get in front of as many eyes as he possibly can to then sell deals, etc. So so logically, you can see the path that you need to take. What's stopping you from constantly doing it? Because now you're getting better and better. I've noticed it. But what was stopping you earlier on?
I think it was just the fear of fucking up. I think I do it to a point where I don't practice. I don't prepare anything. I like to speak from the heart when I talk, and it's genuine when I speak. And when I'm live, I'm thinking, what am I going to say wrong? Am I going to slip up? Am I going to totally mess this up? And it's a fear of...
You have slipped up?
Yeah, of course.
And was it bad? Was it as bad as you thought?
No, it's just the dream. It's like the dream.
We love going to the dream.
But it's just a thing, and you've got to realise everything in life. There's going to be hurdles. There's going to be times where you slip up, you fuck up, you make mistakes, whatever. But you've got to just dig in deep and realise that these failures, mistakes, whatever you want to call them, will put you in good stead for the future.
Because you've got one more video to do this.
Yeah.
And what's the subject going to be on?
What's the subject going to be on? I think, to be honest, I've had a terrible week at times. This week at times with laptops, losing things.
That's bullcrap.
No, but I could have let that really ruin my week. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I've had a terrible week. Oh, it's been shocking. I'm going to pack up. This week's a blowout. I'm going to wait till next week now and start afresh." I've just carried on going. So it might be a video about just digging in deep. Don't give up.
We love a bit of deep digging here.
Yeah, deep digging. I
love the Welsh Dragons. Yeah. So if any of you are feeling pretty disenfranchised with your way of life, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're past set. You can always change it. And realizing that your ego and what people think about you is really, really important. The fact that you need to get a handle of it not caring and not mattering to you. I've had people where they've said, I'm not going to advertise because I couldn't be seen to deliver leaflets. I'm in a prestigious job. I can't do that. How is that person going to fix a toilet if it needs to be done in the early hours of the morning? If it's you're not going to survive in this business. Maybe when you scale and you've got people and you've got staff, you're able to facilitate a lifestyle like that. But in the beginning, you're doing everything. You're mowing the lawn, you're cleaning the toilets, you're making the beds. Just because you need to stay lean, you need to stay small and be as profitable as possible. And having an ego and thinking you're too good to do any job is the quick, sure-fire way for somebody like me to come and buy your business, and then you'll be out of it. You'll be out of the industry as quick as you're in. I've seen so many people fall victim of their ego, like even when they get successful. So as you know, the Wealth Dragons taught me everything that I knew, and they've made quite a lot of successful people. I'm nowhere near the most successful from who they've produced, but I've seen and saw the interactions of some of the successful students who then get a chip on their shoulder after they've been made successful through the teachings of this company, and they not betray, but then they start to badmouth them and look for faults and I don't know why. And sure enough, the people that have done that are no longer in property because of their whole attitude of not staying humble and this ego growing up around them. Because then suddenly they're not be able to do all the really important jobs. Who's Tanya? Say hello, Tanya.
Hello, Tanya. How's it going?
Thank you for joining us. And sure enough, they're not in the property business now because they got a bloody ego. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve anyone around you. I can't stress that enough. And ways to get rid of your ego are to put yourself out there and get rejected and just keep getting rejected. It can be in all manner of things. Go into places where there's a lot of social pressure to be sensible and be normal, and then don't be normal. And what do I mean by that? Like key steps. So one would be knocking on someone's door and asking to buy their house. That isn't a normal activity. It's a very, very abnormal thing to do. Most people won't do it, and so they won't. And the reason why they won't do it is because there's this whole sort of pressure of being normal, being normal in the tribe and not being kicked out. It's like genetically coded within every human being not to step outside the herd thing. So start knocking on doors, start speaking to sellers, start being that person who is a bit strange, and eventually you won't care what other people think because you'll be so used to the stares, the muttering, the whispering. They're like, what the fuck is that person doing? Like, and when you're able to sort of thrive off everyone's feeling awkward for you and you're not the one feeling awkward, nothing will faze you anymore. If you need to go and speak to a seller, or if you need to go into that building site, speak to the foreman to try and buy some land, or you need to try and negotiate some land off a church or whatever, and it's going to be cheeky offers, and then they think it's worth $1 million, but you're looking at around 80,000, and you believe that it's 80,000. Your belief in it will come through in the way that you say, in the way that you put your offer. If you're like 80,000, like it's really, really like the mind can pick up on body language more so than what you say. It's how you say it, and that's way more important than what you say in most cases. So to get ahead in this business, you're going to have to put in cheeky offers. You're going to have to look people in the eye and say you're going to give them half of what they want, or maybe even 40% of what they want. And you're going to need to believe that you're offering a service and you're able to provide a service and you're genuinely providing a good service, or else they're going to see right through you. Obviously, just knocking on doors isn't going to guarantee yourself success. You also need to start looking into like social dynamics and the way you say things, how you say it, what your hands are doing, body language and everything. It all part and parcel of selling yourself as a person to sell to, and selling your rooms or whatever it is, any facet of sale that's within your company. You need to be able to put on a bit of a show and take the person through an emotional roller coaster and then make the sale. For you, like now that you're on here, you've been on here for 23 minutes, how do you feel in terms of, is it
I love it. To be honest, I love it. I think I love talking. I love spreading a message that it's never over. I think even when you're the lowest of your lows, you can still make it.
And what are your plans for the rest of the week?
What are my plans for the rest of the week is carry on viewing properties, flyering, speaking, knocking on. There's a few doors I need to knock on in my area. It's just growing some balls really, and just going for it. You've got to be different. Everyone else is going for estate agents. Everyone else is trying to go that way. So you've got to be a bit different. You've got to be scared. You've got to not be scared to be different. I think you've just got to put your shoulders back, like you said. You've got to look like you know what you're talking about. I've been learning a bit from Grant Cardone, watching his videos.
We like a bit of GC.
Yeah, he said you've got to be 100% committed on what you're doing. He said 5% of, so even if you're 95% committed, that's not enough, because people will still see through it. You've got to be 100% committed. This is your service you offer. I'm the best in the industry of what I do. Selling for an estate agent is no good if you want a fast sale. And you've got to let people know your worth. Okay, you're going to offer maybe 40% discount, but there's a value in what you're offering, and it's just putting that across. I think too many people are scared to be sold on their service, and this is why they don't get deals over the line, because you've got to be 100% committed. Why do I charge more on a deal? You've got deal sources out there who charge £2,000 a deal, and someone sources out there charging £6,000 a deal. But the sourcing properties, what makes him different? But he just believes in his product, and he's able to sell it for £6,000 because he's 100% committed in what he's doing.
100%. I really do. We're getting a few comments now. Is it Tanya again? Oh no. Well, we're getting lots of people watching. Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody. So yeah, thanks for sharing. I know it's a pretty private subject for you, so yeah. I appreciate that. We're getting lots of views for this, I suspect. If you're struggling with destroying your ego and you feel that you can't, the thought of just like leafleting, or the thought of just doing offline marketing or whatever, you just can't do it, then what you need is somebody to basically kick you up the butt and get you going, because this property game isn't for everybody. A lot of people can become successful, but most won't, because most will buy the products and they won't do the work. Most will find out what to do online for free, but there's no accountability, so they won't do it. Because really, if we don't, like in this life, if we don't do anything, like we're designed to be, as humans, to be put into a position where it's really, really tough. And if we don't survive, we die, basically. But now what happens if we don't do anything? Nothing, really. Nothing happens. So you really have to put evolutionary pressure upon yourself to do the best and do the most. And the fact of life is, most people don't do it. So it's not that hard to get ahead, because so many people are not doing it. It really isn't. It's been my experience anyway. The difference to a successful person and a non-successful person is the fact that we both bought the products, we both know the same thing, but I've maybe delivered a few more leaflets on a weekend where they've gone out and socialized. It's really, that's how small the difference is between somebody who gets the deals and somebody who doesn't. And the person who hasn't gone out will make excuses. They have this ego. They won't tell themselves. They won't be honest with themselves and say, listen, I've messed up there. I screwed up here. This is what I need to do differently. So if you want to get involved or get in touch in any way, shape or form, this is the company that I've learned from. Full disclosure, I help them teach now as well. And there are plenty of other ones out there. So do your due diligence. Make sure you're connecting with the right company, and that they can help you over the line. And then once you're set on your back and you've done your first few deals, usually it snowballs. But destroy your ego. And thank you. If you want to listen to more details or more podcasts, the links are in the description. And where can they find you if they want to connect with you, Liam?
Yeah, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I've got a decent presence on LinkedIn. You can find me on my Facebook page, which is official Liam Pearce, and you can connect with me on my personal page as well, which is Liam Pearce. It's been great to just get involved as well.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on.